Okay,
So for how long were you a chartered accountant?
Oh, I've been a chartered accountant now for about how many? 35, 37 years?
Okay. So today we have Phiroze Tarapore, who's retired right now and been a chartered accountant for over 35 years. So Phiroze, tell us, where did you study and what courses did you take?
Well, I'm basically from Calcutta, born, brought up, studied, educated in Calcutta. So I did my BCom. I passed my senior Cambridge in Calcutta. I did my BCom from St. Xavier's College in Calcutta, BCom honors. Then I did my articleship for my chartered accountancy from Calcutta, from a firm in Calcutta. And I qualified in 1983, passed my exams in 83. And then I was working as a financial manager for a couple of years in a tea company and an engineering company. It was a conglomerate, Williamson Mager. Then I moved on to merchant banking, which in those days it was called merchant banking. Currently, it's what you call institutional or investment banking. I was there for 3 years. I was basically into merchant banking, management buyout of companies, etc. So it was a tie-up with a foreign bank, Ambrose Bank of the UK, and an Indian company based in Calcutta. So I used to go on a frequent basis to UK because we had done a management buyout of a company and we were doing a lot of work over there. So that was one of the highlights. Then from 1994, I went to Australia and I was in Sydney, Australia for 6 years. I worked with the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and that's where I started off my career in auditing. I came back from Australia in 2001 and I joined BNP Paribas, which is a French bank in Bombay. I worked with them for about 5 years. Then I joined Bank of America in Bombay. I was there 2, 3 years, all in the audit function. Then I joined Barclays Bank, which was also in Bombay. And I was basically in risk and controls. I was heading the risk and control function in Barclays. I moved over then to ANZ Bank in 2011. And from there, I was there for about 4 years. It was mainly a startup bank. It was a restart-up in India, ANZ Bank. They had left India in 2000. They came back and had set up their audit function. And then in 2014, I went back to BNP Paribas because it was a more expanded role. And I retired from them last year in 2019. So I worked for an Australian bank. I worked for a British bank, an European bank, French bank, and an American bank. So I've had a cross-section of experience in all these foreign banks, mainly in the audit space.
Okay. So what motivated you to choose your profession?
Well, um, auditing was not something I wanted to do always, but I decided first to do chartered accountancy because my father was a chartered accountant and he was also a leading partner in Calcutta in an accounting firm called Lovelock and Louise, which has now merged with Price Waterhouse. And I had a passion for accountancy, so I did chartered accountancy. I went into audit only because when I went to Australia, that was the only job I got. But then I worked on it and I grew a liking for it and I continued in audit till I retired.
Okay, so how did you use technology and how do you think technology will further influence this line of business?
Technology today is growing by leaps and bounds. And whichever industry you are, whether you're in the service sector, you're in the manufacturing sector, you have to have that cutting edge in technology. And basically in the banks, which I have worked for also, the emphasis on more straight through processing, more mechanization, more, whatever you call that, more emphasis on doing work in a more mechanized environment was always the key thing. And now what I see going forward is that artificial intelligence is really going to take the industries by storm, and one has to be above board on there also, because there's a lot happening in that sphere also, and even the banks are looking at that and trying to see how much they can curtail and move over to artificial intelligence. The start has already happened.
Okay. So, what skills should someone have to succeed in your field?
Very important, firstly, to be relevant. You have to be relevant in the job that you do. You have to be a cut above the rest. You see, there are a lot of accountants, a lot of auditors everywhere, but you have to have that cut above everybody. So it is specialization, very key. You have to remain on board on all what is happening, all the latest developments, be it in the regulatory space, be it in the accounting space, in the banking space. You have to be totally well informed if you really want to do your job well. And as I said, back to what I said earlier, you have to be very relevant, because you have to have that cut above the edge, above everybody else. Very analytical as well, because in the banking field, that is what we require, a lot of analytical skills.
Okay, so how do you measure success?
Measure success.
Yeah.
Success is measured in many ways. You can be successful in achieving what your objectives are, and if you have a passion for what you're doing, you know, you will always succeed, because that passion will always drive you towards it. And in my opinion, the path to success is never linear. It is always zigzag. Like, you join one organization, you go to another organization, you join a third organization. The more you cross skill yourself in products, processes, organizations, the more relevant you will be, the more skill sets you will adopt, and you will go up in life. When my father and my father-in-law and all that, when they started out doing a job, they joined one organization and they retired from the same organization. In those days, that is how it used to be. If you remained in one organization, you grew and you retired. But that's not how it is nowadays. And nowadays, a rolling ball, or a rolling, what should I say, stone, gathers more skills. So I mean, I always feel that the path to success is never straight. It's always zigzag. You got to go up the ladder in a zigzag way, and you'll reach up quicker.
Okay. So, what guidance do you have for those who are pursuing or willing to pursue a similar career?
Similar career. Um, I personally feel, firstly, if you want to do a career in banking or in audit or a chartered account, you must have a passion for it. If you have a passion for it, you will do well. If you're doing it because somebody asked you to do it, it will not do, that will not be relevant. For instance, I'm an accountant. My father is a chartered accountant and was an auditor. My father-in-law was a chartered accountant. He was a leading auditor. He was a partner of Ernst& Young. But my son decided he didn't like audit. He didn't like accounting. He didn't want to be a CA. He did his double graduation, of course, but then he decided to go into the sports field because that's where he had a passion for. So today he's a sports analyst. He's doing not bad. He's joined with Spa Sports and he's very happy there. So really, you need to have a passion for what you do. And if you have that passion, you will succeed in whichever field you take up. That's my advice. Again, you need to be very relevant and stay relevant in those fields. And you have to multitask, because today that is the name of the game, multitasking. You cannot just say, I'll do X work and I will have workout. You have to decide to do multitasking, 2, 3 jobs at a time.
Okay. So, thank you, Feroz. Thank you for your input.
Thank you.